Hello, everybody. This is To Wit, a podcast for women in tech doing life. And the life has gotten away from us. We have an amazing episode, and we just haven't been able to get together to do the intro, outro in like a week and a half. So this is your intro. I'm going to drop the episode, and then you will see both of us at Southeast Dreamin'. I think that it's a worthwhile to have a shorter intro because our guest is super freaking amazing. Mary Scotton works for Salesforce for 13 years. She is an inspiration to me, and I know many others every day, and it was a privilege to speak with her.
So, I've met you plenty of times, Mary, and you're just such an intriguing human to me.
I agree.
Why is that, do you think?
I feel like you fill the space like in a warm, welcoming herd way. Like I feel like when I'm talking to you, we've known each other forever, and you are genuinely listening to me, and you've calmed the world around our little space. Seems just a little bit calmer, especially at the big conferences when it's like,
Wow.
and I'll run into you, and I'm like, this is just a little Zen bubble for just a second. I know we're busy, but that moment doesn't feel chaotic. It feels chill.
You telling me the New York World Tour didn't feel chaotic? Because it did.
They all feel chaotic.
I don't know. I just feel a part of it, I think, is like the special place in my heart from the first year of Southeast Dreamin' too, that like you, just came in, and Amber had been like, oh yeah, Mary's coming. And I'm like, who's that? Because that's of course my attitude. People try and introduce things that are my
how
idea.
you talk.
Yeah. Whatever. Who's this person?
Whatever.
But yeah, I just really enjoyed the idea of going for coffee, and you're just like chill but get it done. And I don't know, 13 years at Salesforce is crazy, man. Like,
yeah,
that doesn't happen as much anymore, that people stay somewhere for very long.
I know. It's a long time in software years is my thing, right?
So how has that evolved for you? Like, so apparently you studied math, which is very intriguing to me. Math and computer science, at least. But like,
right. All right.
Am I
being
origin story?
Am I being recorded?
Go.
Am I being recorded?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, hi. What do you want to talk about? Now that we're starting.
I was trying to think of what I was doing 13 years ago. And I was out of college, and I don't think I hadn't met Salesforce yet. It's been about 11 years for me.
This is a really long time, even so, in Salesforce
right?
time.
Yeah, back when Mike still wore the red shirts and
as controls, the good old days.
2000.
Come on now.
And you invented a button.
I invented the big green button.
I don't know why that's, to me, just sticks in my head as the coolest thing. Like, you have a patent
and a big green button.
It's true.
Yes.
I have a couple. Would you like to see them?
What?
Yeah,
oh, you have actual things?
Actual patents.
I have actual patents. It's not that I keep them in my office. Don't tell anyone that.
Am I a nerd that
Where am I going to keep them,
right?
I keep trying to put them up in the living room. So when you go into setup, the old setup, and then on the top, there's like, hi, how you doing? There's a big green button.
Oh, yeah.
And it says new app.
I do remember that.
You put in just a couple things, and just like magic, a whole app appears in front of you.
Thanks to Mary.
It was good times. Mary and Sarah Franklin, actually, who now runs Team Trailhead. Mm-hmm. She was the platform product marketer at the time. We collaborated.
And another claim to fame, you wrote the platform app builder exam.
I did share in the writing of that very first exam back in the day. And also, I took that exam yesterday.
And not everyone passes their first time, Mary. It's okay.
I know. I was walking in there. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And I had studied, and I'd done the quizzes, different sample things, and reading all the docs and the Trailhead badges. And I did it.
Is this your first certification?
It is my second certification. I got that admin cert when I first started on the evangelism team because it seemed like a thing I should do. And then there's somebody new on my team who was taking this cert, and I thought, well, that seems like a good cert. I should take that one. I wonder if that one's any good.
Might sound
I
familiar.
wonder
Although,
if that's any good, you know?
Like, what got you there isn't going to get you here, though. Like, with Lightning and with just, like, we joke about S controls, but, like, there was no process builder. There was no chatter.
Yeah.
Like, I tease people that, like, I got all my certifications before there was chatter.
I know.
Like, I can't really help you with.
So, and they had some very
Yeah.
specific chatter questions, you know?
Feed
Like, I don't
items.
know what exactly thing you would do. I just did quick action
At
for
least you're
everything. I was like,
consistent.
quick action. I'm guessing. Like,
No.
and sandboxes, I don't use sandboxes.
Okay.
Right? So that was one where I went to the help doc before the test.
Everything in production.
I'm trying to remember types of sandboxes. Right. I was like, I'll just pick that one. What they're not as fun as
No.
the trailhead
Yeah.
quizzes though,
Hmm.
which is like, you know, I change everything in production.
Not quite
and
as
you have to be an actual
snarky.
wizard to use the
Hmm.
import wizard.
I was reminded
right? It's not
today
nearly as
that
fun.
dev
So.
sandboxes like legit don't have as much space. Like we tried to load all the stuff and it was like, no. I was like, oh right. Oh,
In
do
fact, they have, I believe, 200 meg of space, where versus the 1 gig that the Pro sandbox has. Just off the top of my head, I happen to know
Well
that.
done. Well done.
So, I mean, we've done a sort of good job of
Thank you.
defining why we like you, maybe. But like, I really am curious. Like, 13 years though. Like, how has that evolved for you? Like, did you start? It sounds started maybe a little nerdier, and now are on more evangelism side. What's your Salesforce life been like?
Yeah, good question. So 13 years ago, there wasn't really a platform. Don't tell anyone. And so when I started, I was just like, yeah, job security. I could work here for a while before I build back up to platforms that I'm familiar with. And I did. And so I was on the platform product management team for, do the math, 5 years. And then, and so in that time, I mean, the test for my interview was to design dependent pick lists.
Ooh.
So, and that was the test because they had actually been designed just recently, and so we're coming out that release, and validation rules had just been put out, and so it was kind of that time, and so so formula fields existed, but not cross-object formula fields, and not roll-up summary fields, and the page layout editor was the original classic page layout editor. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what that one
I
looks
probably
like?
blocked it out.
It's just a flat list where you get to like move the fields up and down, and that's it. Awesome.
And we survived.
So it was just fine, really. I don't know why we
and
needed a
then
new
we
one.
went,
But
what's funny is thinking about Lightning, like we went to Aloha, and that was a big deal.
it was a big deal.
This is my first rodeo.
And chatter was a huge deal.
When I got my boss brought me back the chattering teeth from Dreamforce.
Yes.
And I went to the collaborate Dreamforce, the 8th one.
Oh,
very punny.
No, that's not one I remember exactly. I remember being chatterized. And so that was when your entire Scrum team was absorbed into the chatter initiative. So imagine you were building something else and you liked it. And somebody came in one day and they sat you all down and they said, you know what you're going to do tomorrow? Help us build chatter.
This new thing. Oh,
it's amazing. You're like, oh, I didn't realize that. And that was, it's at will employment. But yes, it was awesome. And then we did it. And, it was at the time, you're like, why? Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to change? So that story has replayed itself a number of times.
And even that was one of the things I loved about True to the Core, right? Because I feel like even for...
That's why True to the Core happened, because of being chatterized. So we just stopped working on the other things.
What?
for a while.
Well, but it's funny because you get to, and even I was probably not at the first, I was probably like the third True to the Core when it still like was smaller, but like in like,
But there's still picket
was in like
signs,
a,
you know.
a theater, like a theater session. So it was like bigger, but not like in its own room where you waited in line, you know? And I legit, it was crazy to me. Again, like I'd say this is 8-9 years ago, right? That I got to ask Parker Harris. And I was like, listen, I want to go to new territories, but I can't because collaborative forecasting doesn't roll up by territory. It only rolls up by role, and that doesn't work for me. And he was like, yup, I took people off of that to do something else. You know? So it's like, again, not
Boom.
that changes anything, but like it's a really interesting transparency, right? And that's even was less of a big ship than it is now to try and turn and pivot. So
Yeah, so to me, I've not been involved in Lightning and watching it from the outside. So after the 5 years, there was a period of time in between, and then I started working at in the evangelism team. And so, Lightning, all of that happened after my time in product management. And so watching that from afar has been amazing to see how much work went into it and thinking about how hard I know it is. So something like the Lightning App Builder. So going from the classic page layout, flat list, to a drag and drop WYSIWYG user interface. Amazing.
2 columns or 1 column? What?
I don't know, right? And then everybody wants 3 columns. Who knew? And so, but knowing how hard it is actually to build the Lightning App Builder, I'm so impressed when I use it.
So how has it, I feel like the concept of an evangelist team in general is interesting, right? So how do you see that? And I guess it makes more sense as they've kind of grown, but do you know of other companies that do that? Like how did that become a thing?
A lot of other companies do it. Companies larger than us have much larger teams, and the basic philosophy is, if I enable and empower the people doing the work for our customers, right, the developers and the admins, then those customers will be successful
And buy more things.
And so it's a organic, right? There isn't a direct. It's sort of there isn't a direct. If I make you smarter, then your company's going to do better,
Right.
and I'm going to make more money. But that is sort of, I think it's common in the industry that there are people who are serving developers, and for us, serving admins is a really big audience for us as well. So serving developers to make sure that they have not just the documentation, but the why and the inspirational, here's some cool thing that you can do. And especially on the Salesforce platform, things change 3 times a year. And, if you're not following the developer blog or the admin blog, you're just like, whatever, right? Or listening to the podcast. So it's us trying to help the developers and admins spin up and say, here's this new thing, and here's how it would be useful in my business, which sometimes the documentation doesn't cover that, right? And so, and then, the developer meetups and the admin groups, like feeding that ecosystem, as you know, is very powerful. So, that's really the charter. And yeah, other folks do it. It's one of those things. I don't think you go to college and come out of college and think, oh, I think I want to be an evangelist.
Or you think of it as like
it's
on the church TV.
Well, right, there is that. It is fun to have that on your business card. But yeah, my son's middle school, they're doing internships. Oh, you want somebody to do an internship? Sure, you can stand in my office with me. Watch me send emails all day,
fold laundry, and do one-on-one.
And you're never going to grow up to be.
You can learn how to be on conference
so it's not
calls.
really that useful, right? I don't think it's going to to be that interesting.
Who just joined?
Week,
And who joined? Can you hear me? Am I on mute?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute.
There you go. Conference call etiquette.
I'm sorry, I was multitasking.
Conference call 101.
Who just joined?
What's I was literally having a conversation about at lunch today about this, because I have a friend who was like, I've never been on a conference call.
Oh, interesting.
And I was like,
What?
Like, because I brought up that like conference call bingo that goes around every once in a while, you know, right? And there's a good video too about somebody who's like, right, there's a dog barking, there's, you know, someone drinking loudly or eating. I know somebody who's talked about somebody fell asleep on a call and snored. Like,
Awesome.
there's just, and I was just, it like, I cannot comprehend. How did you get to your 30s and not hear who just joined?
Never.
Like,
sorry, I was on mute.
Or had the call where people announce themselves and they're like, Christy has joined the conference. You know, like, I just can't. I just don't, you know what I Beep.
I managed to broadcast all of like my drive through New York the other day. I didn't realize it. I thought I was on mute. You know, so here I am. First of all, I'm driving and trying to pay attention to this call. And you
Honking.
can hear, you know, horns and honking. And I was like, nobody bothered to say anything. I'm like, why did you say something? Right?
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Like, hey, how's it going? Beep,
So
beep.
one of the other things that I love about you, I could make a list. I could go on. I could sing it. We could do it numerically,
Please.
alphabetically. Anyways, is your dedication to diversity and inclusion, and a word that I want, or two words, I guess I want to talk about that I have heard out there, and I think that it's still a little foggy for people, is intersectional feminism. And I know that you have discussed it before, and I would like to know, you know, what does that mean? What does that mean to you? What does that mean for others? What does it mean to help build up other people as well?
Ooh, well, the stock definition is that you say, I'm a feminist. Okay, I support equality for women, right? But most women are also something else, some other group, right? So I am intersectional because I'm a woman and a lesbian. So I support, you know, or I come into the world with both of those identities. And I think it's important, and I can't remember who coined it, was academic and saying we can't just look at the world through one lens. You really have to look at how that person's moving through the world as a member of multiple groups. And so one thing that might, you know, be true for you when you come to work as a woman, you're like, well, this is happening to me, and you know, it's because I'm a woman. And I might come in and be like, well, is it happening to me because I'm a woman, or is it happening because I'm a lesbian, you know, or I have really gray hair or whatever, right? What are my you know, various groups. I feel like there was a talk on this at one of the community-led conferences, Melinda. Which one was it? A friend of mine, I think, hosted a panel.
I think so. Yeah. That'd be me.
At Witness Success last year.
Gave me the inspiration or the idea for the and. Like, what's your and in this and? And
ooh, what's your and? I like that.
That's kind of what we led with. And I think that was the panel that Jillian moderated. And it was a really great way to be, you know, an ally in the world. Like, yes, I'm a feminist. Yes, I'm a woman, but I am also an ally in this respect, or I'm also an and in this space. So, yeah, so the panel was awesome, but yeah, and that came directly from you. But I you know, I wanted to, I wanted to bring that up because I keep seeing that phrase pop up, and I feel like sometimes it's unclear. And when you Google it, you do get a lot of like the history with the academic that coined it. But I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean to everybody? Like,
right. And I think what it means is a lot of times we're like, I'm a feminist, women, yay. And then you're like, well, what about everybody who's a woman and a person of color, a woman and a person with a disability, right? A woman and a member of the LGBTQ community. So that's what you want, you know, kind of see it through all of those lenses.
Because I'm like not as many of those things, or I guess I'm as many of those things, but I'm in the majority of a lot of the things as a cisgender white middle class woman, right? So, and I haven't really had that I know of as much. Like, I'm sure there's wage gap, but like no specific scenario. Like when we had Rachel on and she's like, I got the stories, you know, like I haven't had that kind of pejorative experience. So I've like, yes, I'm a feminist because I'm a woman and women are great, but I don't feel like particularly like inspired that way. But it's interesting that like you both are mothers, right? And that's not something that I relate to, right? So there's like some specific like ands in that way, but also just, and you've worked at the same place
Mm-hmm.
for 13 years. Like that colors certain things too, right? Things that are nature versus nurture.
Hmm. Yeah, the we call what I have at Salesforce privilege, which is you've been there so long, right? That I used to work, with Parker Harris, right? And he led the group, and the group was not as big as it is now. And I can't remember when I realized I had that privilege, but maybe it was 5 or so years ago. And that's the kind of thing that enabled me to
Choose your path.
say the things that other people maybe couldn't say because they were newer in their career, newer to Salesforce, right? Or one of the ands that I wasn't. And so I could say things that they couldn't say publicly, on chatter, and just say, well, this is something that makes me nervous, or why are we doing it this way? I think that might have some bias in it. So I tried
Can
to
you imagine
use
the
that.
newbies? They're like, "Whoa, Mary, she just says what's on her mind. That's crazy."
She just,
Did you hear what Mary said?
yeah, so far it's working. Yeah, so far it's working. And I do it kindly, and I do it with, hey, I was wondering if you thought about the way you said this. Um, but
Like
I
your
wasn't
dollar
afraid to do
jar,
it because I'd been there that long, right?
right?
Because what?
Your dollar jar. I learned about that.
Yeah. Um, so the fun thing is Jillian Bruce, who hosted the panel at Witness Success about intersectional feminism, used to have a sticky note on her monitor that said "you guys" with a big,
No
Yeah,
smoking symbol.
yeah.
thing through it that says don't say it. Yeah, no, don't say "you guys." Oh,
Interesting.
perfect. I like it.
I'd say it
Why
too
can't you
much
say
on
perfect?
call. It's a crutch when I'm struggling in a scoping call. Oh, perfect, 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 perfect. It's weird. It has no
Oh,
place, so
right.
I have that
Oh, that's
posted.
interesting because
Right.
I
Mm-hmm.
internalize that as like, don't let perfection get in the way of progress.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It doesn't have to
I
be
mean
perfect.
that's not a problem.
It is, right?
But yeah, so I learned
It
about the you
is.
guys from Mike, from like a tweet because I was like, whoa, what did I do wrong? And then we learned through texting that you have them. It's a dollar, right?
Right. And so again, this kind of stuff. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have a Princess Bride little
Yes.
mini book. When you open it, it has quotes. Hang on. So it's on my desk, and when I kick my desk by accident, it'll open in a meeting.
Yeah.
Anyway, or on a podcast recording, whatever, something like that.
Profesh. Yep.
Inconceivable.
So again, when you are trying to interrupt bias or help people along their journey around equality, it helps to have a sense of humor and to approach a situation with a little bit of, hey, I've been there. And so one of the things is, you owe me $1 if you say "you guys" to a room full of mixed genders. And but then I give you $1 if you don't say it. So
Ooh.
I think it's a fair system.
I have to
So
say, after learning about it, I conscientiously don't do it because it is like a dude or a pal. Like it's kind of an adage that you're accustomed to, and maybe don't hear how that could sound. But
it's
even with
hard, right? It's hard not to do.
but I amend emails, and I mean, even if I'm talking to all women on the phone, I could probably get away with it, and I don't say thank you, ladies, or thank you, pals. I just I say thanks everyone because I know
Yeah.
that sometimes I mean something maybe sweetly, but it's not heard that way, especially in business when you can't tell you guys. So I 100% like I learned from it and I've adjusted. So like it works. It works to have like these little things.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa.
But really,
absolutely.
did you used to watch the show Hey Dude?
The
No.
I seen
cartoon.
No, it was a story about this younger kid whose dad bought a ranch, and so I sing the theme song in my head when I hear "Hey Dude." It's a little wild, a little strange. Yep, Google it. Who can make you
Google
heaven
it.
out on the
I'm
range?
not going to Google it right
Well,
now because I
don't.
won't be able to pay attention to y'all.
But yeah, so that's what I think of when I hear "Hey Dude." But yes, anyway, it is interesting to be more aware of, definitely. And
Yeah, and it's a hard change.
well, because it's easy to be like, oh, that's what everyone says, it's fine, but even if it doesn't offend you, it might be offending somebody who's not a total overshare gonna say something about it, like some of the people on this call. So,
Do you ever
So
think?
me, by the way, also,
Okay.
but maybe you, sure.
So
But
I think about evolution of phrases I use, thoughts I've had, how to be a better human and make, a better world for my daughter and make sure that she is kind and compassionate and tolerant. But I don't think I was ever not tolerant, but I'm sure I said ignorant things. Like I can think of a couple like ignorant things you say when you're younger. So what makes me think like where I'm going with this is that going to happen in 10 more years? Is there something I'm saying now that I'm going to be like, whoa, that's crazy insensitive? For instance, I give my daughter butterfly kisses, regular kisses, and from the very day one, I call it nose kisses because I'm deathly afraid that one day Eskimo kisses is going to be rude or like not tolerant. So I never have said that. I always call it little nose kisses because I'm like, that is something like you learn little, like sitting Indian style. That's not okay. You didn't realize it until you're
right.
later. So I'm like, what am I doing now? Like, I wonder if there's going to be a thing in like 20 years that my daughter's going to be like, Mom, we don't say that. You don't say that.
Tonight I called my son a boy. He's like, "Are you assuming my gender?" Like, kind
Shit.
of. At this time, I am,
At
right? If you'd
this
like to
general moment, I
correct
am.
me, but right now, this is kind of where I want to be,
stop it.
in this
Are you
conversation. He's
assuming
12. Are you
my
assuming my gender? So,
gender?
yes, assuming people's
Yes.
gender will probably not be something that we do, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
So,
Can you think of,
um,
it's kind of a,
yeah, I think things like that have changed. I put my pronouns on my business card because I could,
Ooh.
you know,
Okay.
yeah.
right? And that's something that we did at the first Trailhead DX developer conference. Was let's have pronoun buttons, and it was a thing. It was a deal. It
Yep.
was, who do we have to ask to make sure it's okay? And I
Yeah.
had seen it at other conferences. I had seen it at Lesbians Who Tech. I had seen it at other equality and diversity conferences. And so let's give it a try. And now we just do that automatically. It's part of
Yeah.
the playbook.
Yep.
So that was 3 years ago,
Here's
4 years ago.
an interesting question for like in business. I am working with a couple clients that have like forms that we're implementing and they have gender as a question and it says male or female. And it's really hard because I want to say something, but I'm like, they're a client. Like, is that right? Now I know my company is very inclusive and works really hard towards, being I guess inclusive is the word I'll use again. So I think that they would support me, but there is that fear. Like, do I say, I think you need to add more, or do I just add it? I mean, shit, I'm creating it. Just throw
Yeah,
it
you're
all
like,
in there.
oh, but this is
Just freaking throw it in there.
the thing that's great is there is, like Facebook kind of has a long list, or a kind of like there is a stock, and so it can be neutral, and you can just say, hey, it's the best practice right now
I
to
just pulled this offline. Yeah.
include the following. So that's what I added. If that's what you don't want, I can remove it. But there's some, if you Google it, there's probably some stock, this is kind of the best way to approach this.
Yeah.
And here's the pick list. Here are the pick list values that you would put in, and just kind of, let people self-identify. I can go check. I was like,
Yeah.
I'll go check, because we have pronouns in our instance of Salesforce at work. You can set up on your user what your pronouns are, and it shows up on on your chatter profile. So
Yeah. I
saying.
think I like,
Right, that's one of those like little, like, micro actions you can take
Yes,
to just
exactly.
raise. And you don't have to be like, you're terrible, you only have 2 genders, what are you doing?
Someone should shut down your nonprofit.
What is wrong with you? Right? Just, hey, you know what? Here's a thing that's evolving and you might want to keep up is all.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because it did feel like one of those moments where like this is an opportunity to be an ally in different respects. But I was like, but is that my place? And I'm like, but then that you can make that excuse for anything. Oh, it's business setting. Oh, it's mixed company. Like, and then your silence is continuing to not, promote and help other, underrepresented people. So yeah, it was just I think I might just throw it in and say, oh, I just pulled this offline. We were having so many syncing issues, so I just threw that in. I think because there weren't enough options.
Yeah, just so there should be more, right? And
Yes.
what it's a moment, an opportunity to educate.
Yes,
So,
I learned
that's
from
cool.
my
Go
tweet.
for it.
Do you specifically live in a place that fosters like the thinking that you do around certain things like that? Like that's a more liberal, accepting kind of place? Where are you now?
Right now. Right now.
She scoffs. She scoffs.
That would be a no.
I mean, in your home, yes. So that's nice. In these walls.
That would be where I currently live in the middle of New Jersey. No, I would not refer to it as a liberal hub. Nope, I don't think so.
How does that impact your life, like negatively? Like
It makes my life more interesting. So I will say, I was super nervous about it when we moved here, to the point where my friend who recommended this town, I said, well, here's the house I'm looking at, but I'm really, really nervous because I can sense that this town may not have a whole lot of other lesbians in it. Let's just say. And she's like, hang on a second. And she calls up her friend Kathy and says, Kathy, Mary's moving in two doors down from you. What do you think? Is she gonna, be harassed? And she said, actually, the house in between us happens to have a lesbian couple in it. So we did move in next to the other lesbians in town.
Oh, that's nice. You have a sponsor.
But then they moved out.
Oh.
And they didn't have kids, so we didn't really hang out. It was one of those things where you're supposed to. One of the things I learned when I first came out was, turns out, just because you're a lesbian and someone else is a lesbian doesn't actually make them a good person, and it doesn't make them someone you might want to hang out with.
Yeah.
So
that might not be enough.
We were like, oh, look, lesbians next door who are older than us and have no kids and travel a lot, and we just never hung out with.
Yeah. Well, the kids thing, that's a thing. Like,
it is a thing.
It's
you're
hard.
Like,
living
and he
in
was
Sink
little.
Town
He
over
was
here?
4. Yeah. So.
Oh, 4.
And then instead, when they moved out, the person who moved in was maybe just hitting her 70s, living by herself, straight as far as I know. We still hang out with her to this day, right? So that was 8 years ago. She's like family. She goes to Gabriel's stuff at school, and we bring like old people to school day. We bring her.
That's a thing.
So
Oh, I like it.
Turns out,
I'm sure they don't call it that.
Golden guest
I was gonna say, they don't call
is
it
what
bring
they call
oldies to school.
Bring the older people that you can find around you.
Our school is just like
grandparents don't live near here.
Day.
They don't want anybody else. They just want the parents.
Please come get your kid day.
So are you
her teacher today, she has 24 kids and was like, oh, this is so-and-so's boots and this is so-and-so's mittens. And I was like, that's not your job detail. And she's like, it's a weird particular skill I have. I know whose boots and mittens are everyone's. And I was like, you're a saint. Like, I can't even. Yeah.
That does seem like a really special job skill.
Yeah, she just knows it.
Are you traveling anywhere fun this year?
Ooh, yes.
Ooh, me.
What dream
Can you see my whiteboard behind me?
Yeah, it looks like a data chart.
That's a calendar. Let's go look at the calendar.
So I will say your hair is awesome in the back. It's got a nice little flip there.
Look at you with your wireless headset. It's like you do this for every day.
All right, so I'm actually leaving on Saturday for Toronto just for fun for spring break. But doesn't Zaz live there?
Mhm.
Yeah. But she's
Indeed.
in
Right?
London.
And right now? Oh, she's out there for London's
For
Calling?
London's
I'm
Calling?
98% sure.
Super jealous. All right. Well, if she's there later in the week, I'll give her a ring. But I am also going out to Colorado to a friend of mine's conference called Lady Coders. Right?
I'm in Denver.
Oh, wait. So is there anybody in
I mean, it's a large
Colorado that I
state.
know?
Like, where are you headed to?
Oh, it's
wow.
Denver.
Yes! I'm so winning! I don't know what contest it
I
is,
think
but so
do
far
you
I'm
want to go
winning.
to Lady
Lady Coder.
Coders
I
with
do.
me?
You-
It's going to
you
be
write-
fun.
You're a declarative
Lady Coders,
developer, if nothing
boom.
else.
April
Ooh.
4 5.
I'm on it.
All right, we'll see
On my
you there.
calendar.
And then the week after, I'm going to Spain to keynote
Dream-O-Lay.
Is that
Oh,
like-
I'm jealous. It was so great last year.
Life
Was that
dreams,
already
life
announced? Or is
goals.
this like a special surprise that no one knows?
I think it's possible that there's an email pending that says, Mary, could you please send me a profile?
Because I know
Now that we're having this conversation, I'm gonna write a
the
sticky
lovely
note
and
that
talented
says, send
Sophia
profile
Mata is
picture.
also going to Dream-O-Lay.
I know, right? We are gonna have some. I've seen her speak. She's amazing, and so
Really?
I am super stoked. Yeah, yeah, she's really.
I've heard really great
compelling.
things about their conference, especially as a
It was so great.
sort of Spanish adjacent speaker, right? But like,
Yeah.
between that and Punta, right? Like you've got a good. It's crazy to think. It's crazy how many Salesforce nerds there are out there that I don't even know.
Yeah, that was the only weird thing about Dream-O-Lay.
Oh, I would love to go to Punta too. So wait, so
I
you
did,
went
and
last
it was
year?
interesting because I was literally at a conference with hardly anyone I knew. I mean, I knew like Carrie Townsend and a couple other people I knew, but I got to meet all these other people that I'd maybe met once or twice on Twitter. And you probably already know this, but don't bother planning anything. They will take you on a tour. They'll put something together. They'll put a group together to do a walking tour or see sites or get food or get all the tapas until you want to explode. It was like, you're in my country. What can I do for you? What can I accommodate?
Wow.
So kind and so loving. And it was a trip of a lifetime. Like I thoroughly enjoyed. I got to mix like international travel, my husband, and Salesforce. It was just like a cornucopia of goodness. It was perfect.
Yay! Yes, my wife is coming with me because I am Spanish adjacent because she is relatively fluent. And to have a conversation with me in Spanish is very long and painful for the other person. But I can understand a lot. And so it's just the forming words and having them come out of my mouth is very, very hard.
Yeah.
So the two of us, I'll hear a thing and I'll tell her what to say.
That's always the trick.
Perfect.
Is if I'm in my own head, I can come up with a sentence that probably makes sense, but then they respond. And so my ex is Dominican and Puerto Rican, right? So his mother is primarily speaking Spanish. And it's like, you're probably talking at a normal speed for what I speak English, but I speak Spanish slower. So therefore it sounds like you're like, right? So yeah, it's tough.
Más despacio, por favor.
Yes, perfect. That's so exciting. So,
yes, I'm really excited about that. That is something that feeds me. One of the things I didn't do last year was go out to community conferences.
Why do you see them as different than Salesforce?
Got some feedback from the community that
we disapprove.
Why am I not?
No, I'm just curious.
Going?
Like, do you? I can say from the community side why they're different, sort of, but like, do you feel like you get a different re-energizing or like feeling from Salesforce driven events versus community events for people who haven't maybe been?
My data points are only 3, I guess.
The best 3.
So the best 3. So I don't know. I mean, for me, I haven't really been out anywhere. I haven't been to world tours. I haven't been, it's been a kind of a quiet year in that way. And so I think they're smaller. I think that they aren't full of rah Salesforce marketing, hitting you over the head. It really is just a bunch of nerds. I go and I think to myself, what kind of people spend their own personal time organizing a conference about software where I
For
work.
free.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah, I
pretty
agree.
special. So I think that whoever is organizing a community-led conference and whoever is going to spend their own money to take the day off to come and learn more about Salesforce, I think that makes it really special. So not like, oh, my company told me I had to go to this, free world tour, which again, lovely
Well,
event,
yeah,
very
and yes,
nice.
there's
But different
Mhm.
interactions, different engagement. People are really there to learn and connect.
It is.
I'm
It's
excited.
a
It's been
labor
a
of
while.
love.
And we've talked about how like it fills the battery. It recharges the battery, fills the cup. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm mixing my euphemisms.
Yes.
Cup
But
runs
like,
over.
of
Yes.
course, I'm excited for Trailhead X too, right? Hypothetically, if I get to go, if my boss is listening, I want to go. Thanks. But
Go, go, go.
just not even Dreamforce, right? Seeing people in general, yes, is good because they're like-minded personalities of people. I think that you end up gravitating towards. So maybe people you never would have met without Salesforce, but still similar personality somehow, right? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know.
Well,
It's
Christy
just
and I
great.
talked
And like you
on,
say, it's
I think the last show or before that, um, for me, like it's almost like I forget if I get too much time and space between an event. Like I didn't even get to go to my last user group hosted event. I didn't have a sitter and it didn't work out. And thank goodness there's 3 of us running the group because I could bag out. But it's almost like I forget and I'm like, oh, I'll just focus on work or I don't really want to spend the money. And then I go and I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Like I need this. I need this connection and the hugs, and it's more than Twitter and it's more than learning. It's just being in the atmosphere with like-minded people. And like you said, with it's a community event. So it's not like I have to come back with 7 leads as a salesperson, or I need to conduct these client meetings or prove this ROI. I get to learn what I want to learn and hang out with my friends. So yeah, I mean, I think that
So, and Christy, we we had talked about my whole team was going to come down to Atlanta for a team offsite, and then just happened to roll in to Southeast Dreamin'. The offsite got moved. I'm still rolling into Southeast Dreamin'.
Good answer.
Right. And I went back and forth, right? Like, is there a business reason for me to go? Like, and yeah, the business reason to go is to see you. Basically, that's my reason. Right. And so I wanted that. It does, it feeds me. And I was like, no, I'm not bailing. So,
well, yeah. And there's definitely a certain amount of, I don't know what it is. But even if I don't, I'm going to take time off probably and probably self-fund to go to events, which is I have to keep in mind that that's a different mindset than a lot of people. So if you're listening and you don't do that, it's totally okay, right? Like going to local things is fine. We are in a unique position, I think, that we do know people internationally and we do want to go and speak and meet new people and can't go ideally a whole quarter without going to some kind of event, right? But that's, people experience things in different ways. So
I went to the Hartford, Connecticut user group. I met a guy who, that group's been happening for 15 years or whatever it is, or 5 years. And, oh no, it was 5 years because it was Christoph's 5th year at the company. And also, speaking at that group was one of his things. But the guy was like, oh yeah, I've been coming here all that time. And again, they go every month or whatever, right? And so, and I don't think he goes to Dreamforce or even the New York World Tour, but regularly these 25 people get in a room and talk about Salesforce.
I have Salesforce friends that have now joined my book club. Like I have Salesforce friends that came to my birthday brunch. Like things that are.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of delineation anymore. There was a while there was work people, personal people. There's no. And I think the moment I realized that really fully recently was when I my Instagram is private, and I usually only let friends and family, close friends and family, because I post pictures of my daughter. And then there was a bunch of Salesforce people, and I was just like, accept, accept, accept. Like, these are all my friends. And it was very unconscious because I was like, oh, yeah, I know them. And it was just kind of that moment where I was like, yeah, they are friends. It isn't a colleague or a coworker or a boss where you're like, oh, God, they friended me. There's no line anymore. It's my life. It's my friends. It's my family. And
Yep.
I'm super okay with
That's how
that.
I feel. And I feel like, I took on a new role last year and I was so busy trying to figure out my job and I miss that connection. So I will be
Welcome
Yeah,
back.
totally.
coming back.
I get to see you
Look
there
out.
too. Come
Got a new
back.
blazer. Like, I'm
You're
ready.
back. All right, so are you ready?
Got a new blazer. I'm ready.
I love the blazer and the t-shirt look.
It
It's one
works
of my
for me,
faves.
you know.
I like it too. Sometimes I've seen blazers like that are one cuff up on the sleeve and have like a cool little
Oh,
lining. I
you
like that
wait.
too.
You wait.
Trendsetter.
I will bring. So I'll bring my. It's got like a whoosh, like a big sort of crazy. It's You're gonna
Want to buy a
you're gonna
watch
like
kind of
it. And
thing?
it's 5
Yeah.
pockets anyway. Trying to pick out this blazer. So yes, you're gonna see it in
It's
Southeast
a
Street.
little thing.
Right,
I'm
and
gonna see it.
and I have to say that Nashville is on my whiteboard as well. So
Ooh.
where is it? Hold on. No, I just was like, oh, interesting. Nashville. Hmm.
You know what's funny is that your calendar looks like data modeling.
Right, they're like little data model
So I was like, oh, what
squares,
you got going
right?
on back there? Yeah,
July is
schemas.
related to
Your
March.
ERD of your life.
Totally.
Yeah, but that's a little far out there. But it goes all the way out to August because you have to think about your summer. But yeah, so NorCal Dreamin' and Witness Success are on there.
I mean, there's also a cruise you could come
I
on
have
with your wife.
heard of this cruise. I have to say, so long time listener, first time caller. Let's just say. So I am a regular, steady listener of this podcast.
When do you listen to podcasts?
Yes, you are. You've always
Once
been a
your
fan.
Mike does it while he's mowing the lawn. Like, what do you do when? Can you listen
When I'm
to podcasts
driving.
and do your life? Oh, okay.
Yeah, but when I'm driving, and so there are different times.
Yeah.
Whenever I drove to Hartford and back, it's 2.5 hours away in the same day. So got a lot of podcast time. So yeah,
that's when I catch up. But it's funny. I drive half an hour to work, but for some reason, longer road trips are when I'm like, I need podcasts.
Oh yeah.
Let me catch up with some Jillian.
I shove it in whenever I can since I don't go anywhere. I listen to it even if it's like 3 minutes on the ride back from dropping Ollie at school, or I listen to him in the shower.
Oh, I listen to him in the
used to
shower
put my
too.
phone like close.
Yeah.
My husband got me for Christmas like a speaker, a Bluetooth speaker for the shower because I would have my phone like on the towel hook precariously balanced. So he finally got me speakers. So that's when I shove them in too, because I'm just not in the car a lot anymore, and I can't do it when I'm working. I can't do both.
No,
I
can't do both. I don't. Sometimes I'll be listening when I come into the house, and then I'll realize like time has passed. I have actually no idea what was just said because I'm.
You're like, I just unloaded the dishwasher and I'm not listening.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
That and folding the laundry.
That and folding the laundry.
Well, you know what's coming then.
You know
what's coming as a longtime
13 years. I feel like that's a lot of opportunity for a hypothetical screw up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Tell me you turn the green button blue once.
We talked about the page layout editor. We talked about Lighting App Builder. We talked about all the changes, Chatter. There was mobile. We have our new AI stuff, right? We're always innovating. There was a point in time where we had the old page layout editor, not the old one, but the classic page layout editor. And then we were like mobile all the way, and we need to have a way to drag and drop configure what the page looks like on a mobile device. And we need it by Dreamforce.
Of course we do.
So we sit in a room, we talk about what the functionality would be, we scope it out, and it gets scoped down to so little that everyone is pretty much saying, this is trash, right? We're never, we could build it, but you can't actually do anything with it. But we showed it to my manager, right? So at that point, I my team. Yeah, I don't try to remember. So anyway, I showed it to my manager. I'm like, hey, this is all we can do, and he was like, yep, do it. I'm looking at it for 30
Sure.
seconds,
Yep.
right?
Dreamforce.
So then we went and we built it. So the screw up would have been, we built just, it was useless. You've never seen it, let's just say, right? So we spent all this time trying to build this thing, and it was just terrible. But we knew at the beginning that it was going to be terrible. But some executive said,
Do it.
we should build it. And so we did. And so that was, and then not that executive, someone else, where I was like, well, he said he was supposed to build it. And he finally turned to me. He's like, I'm not paying you to, I'm paying you to think. I'm not paying you to do whatever that person says, right? And that was a big shift for me, right? I'm paying you to think. I want you to,
push back,
react or push back if you think what we're doing makes no sense. And so that was my lesson learned there.
Secret Salesforce things that,
needless to say, you've never seen it.
You've never seen
the cutting room floor.
It was terrible. So.
What I think is interesting is now there is that thing in communities. There is a mobile specific layout, except it just lets you hide things, which is not exactly what I want to do. I mean, it's baby steps, maybe. But like, I was like, ooh,
less is more.
Well, it's funny because I think you get in your head what something's going to be, and then you read it in the release notes, or you see it and you're like, oh, it's going to work how I think it does in my brain. And then you're like, no, maybe not.
No,
maybe not yet.
That's not how it's going to work.
But
we'll get there.
I saw it at Dreamforce, so it's going to be a thing.
It's definitely going to be a thing.
In 1 to 7 years, indeed.
Hashtag safe harbor.
Mary, thank you so much.
Statement.
Thank you for coming on
the
show.
Thank you so much. It's the most fun that I've had after 9 o'clock in a long time. So I'm glad you got awake, Mary. And
yeah, I was gonna say it's nearly our bedtime, isn't it?
Yeah. So thanks. No, and it feeds me and energizes me. Thank you so much for having me.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Yeah, we'll see you in a few weeks. Hey, me again. Okay, so no super phase, no nothing. Just have a great week or weekend or whenever this episode goes out. And hopefully you'll see Christy and I at Southeast Streamin'. Bye.